AI is something that we cannot escape. It is a part of our life, and it is slowly encroaching into our life in ways that we've not even thought of. Now, we can be pessimists and we can keep talking about the negative impacts of AI, but it's here to stay. I think the revolution that ChatGPT has created, right? It's only the way up from there. So, I'm not one of those who, from a design sphere, is of the opinion that okay, it's killing creativity, right? I would rather say it's killing bad creativity.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Arnav Khandray show. Today, we have an extraordinary guest with us, Mr. Harnish Shah, the founder of Design Pitch Deck and the founder of and CEO of Three Minds Digital. From a graphic designing intern to a founder and CEO. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Harnish.
Hey, thank you so much, Arnav, for inviting me. Glad to be the first guest on your show.
Nice. So, why don't we start with what exactly does Design Pitch Deck and Three Minds Digital do?
So, Arnav, so Three Minds Digital is my primary focus area, I would say. Design Pitch Deck is kind of an offshoot that was born from Three Minds. So, 3MD, I think I'll keep referring it to 3MD. It's just
Okay.
easier, and that's
Yeah.
what we use internally as well.
Great, great.
So, essentially, we are a end-to-end creative and digital consultancy. We've been around for about 7 years, and we majorly specialize in creative and digital services. So right from branding to creative designs, which is my specialization, to digital marketing, tech, UX and UI is how I kind of package it. And the other business, Design Pitch Deck, which I said was born out of Three Minds Digital about 4 years back. Special, Specifically focuses on investor pitches, business presentations, um, financial projections. So we work with a lot of startups. Ideally, in fact, our intention was to work with a lot of startups, who are looking to raise money. And investor tech is something that everyone needs, who is raising money. So we ended up doing a lot of work within Three Minds Digital. But because we were getting so many interesting projects, we decided to branch it out into a different company that just focuses on that. And something that was born with the intention of working with startups, just logically over a period of time, grew into something bigger than what I anticipated. Where we ended up working with a lot of corporates as well, So a gap that I also saw in the industry, which I probably did not see early, was a lot of corporates looking for business presentations as well. Now it could be for their own internal shareholder meetings, it could be for their board presentations, it
Correct.
could be for the distributor presentations, or but everyone wants to show something which looks classy and looks
Yeah, yeah.
nice. So that's where Design Pitch Deck focuses on.
Great, great, great. So, अब थोड़ा rewind करते हैं to your past. So, how was your childhood like? And also tell us a bit about your family, as in members in the family, and who did you look up to, and also if they supported all your career decisions or not. So, yeah.
So I just turned 30, so it's kind of rewinding quite a time back. So in school, I was always an average student, or I would say maybe a little above average. I've always been serious about studies. I've never really had a lot of tutorials or tuition classes, etc. I think I just did things on my own, and I of course owe a lot of it to my parents, because usually बच्चों को parents भेजते हैं tuition classes.
Yeah, yeah.
So they never really forced me to
Acha.
go to any of these classes, and but because also I was pretty much serious about doing something, scoring decently well in school. So definitely not a first bencher, but
Mhm.
not even a last bencher is how I would put it.
Got it.
Art has always been something that I've been interested in. So since childhood, I have loved creating stuff. I saw myself creating, जो हमारी पुरानी books होती है, right?
Mhm.
In the early 2000s, we had those cardboard books, right? So book के pages निकाल के I used to make buildings out of those
Oh, okay.
cardboard covers. I used to keep drawing. I used to keep sketching. In fact, I used to love Pokemon, so
Yeah, yeah.
I created an entire encyclopedia of Pokemon, of like 200 pages of just sketches of each and every
Oh,
Pokemon in it.
okay.
So I've always been interested in, and I still do. I mean, I keep that encyclopedia right with me in my
Acha.
cabin in my office, just kind of brings the childhood back.
Okay.
So designing has always been something that I've loved, I've enjoyed, and I always received all the support from my teachers, from my family to pursue it. So everyone knew. So normally when if someone is really smart, लोग बोलते कि IIT जाएगा.
Correct,
If someone designs well, ये artist बनेगा. There
correct.
was something that I always had in my mind. So taking this field was just something that the seed of which was already inside me
Got
from
it.
my childhood days. And my family primarily comes from a textile background. So, typical Guju family, into business. So I've always seen businesses around me. I've always, seen my father, my
Mm-hmm.
brother, working and building his own business. In fact, my grandfather as well was the one who started it. My father and my uncle kind of took it forward. So I've always learned a lot of the nuances. I mean, they never really deliberately took us to the office or showed me, but living in a family, there's always conversations
Correct, correct,
happening.
correct, correct.
So one thing that my dad always, told me, or one thing which has been ingrained in me since my childhood was कि यार कुछ तो खुद का करना है. Be it right after graduation, be it 10 years after graduation, or even 15 years after graduation, but खुद का कुछ करना has always been something that has been in my mind. And when 3MD happened, I think I could not have expected anything more from my family in terms of the support. There was not even a single ounce of question, of starting something on my own, and I received complete support, complete, help from them. So I of course owe a lot of my success to my family. And of course, I think living in a typical Gujarati business family helped me understand a lot of things. Because my father and my uncle built the business more or less from scratch. So I've seen that grow as well. From where we were, maybe our family was 15 years back to where we are now. So I think that's been a pretty interesting journey. And there's been no pressure from my father ever to join the family business. So that was another, because normally kya hota hai for a family business, this becomes a trend that okay, the son will end up joining the
Correct, correct.
family
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
business and be the heir. So that was never really something that came in the way that he wanted me to join it. He gave me all the freedom to explore my own territories, and here I am.
Okay, okay. So you were always business minded growing up, right? As you said. So you
Mhm.
created a business out of your passion. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely, because what I do is, of course, something in the creative space. So in fact, just to give you some more, background, so I actually entered fashion design, as my primary graduation, which I shifted to fashion communication with the intention that studying fashion marketing, fashion communication will help me in the textile business of my family. So when I started, the idea was never really to start up something on my own. It was just a logical thing to join the family business, and hence the fashion piece. But in the second and third year of college, my inclination ended up being towards graphics and UI, and that's something which I was fortunate enough, to be able to pick up. Because in design colleges, you don't really have lectures or you don't really have exams.
Acha.
It's always pretty much an open field, where you are expected to do what makes you happy, to a certain extent, or what
Okay.
you like doing. So, my college did give me, or university did give me that sort of background to pursue design, graphics, which was not really connected a lot with fashion. And that is something that opened up a lot of doors for me, because I was really doing something that I loved doing, and I realized that fashion was not for me. I never really was a fan of sketching in a lot of those silhouettes and stuff. which I realized very early on in my first and second year of college.
Mhm.
So after that, starting, the company kind of just happened over a period of time, but was not at all planned for sure.
Acha, okay. So now that we know more about your past, let's dive into your professional journey. So can you
Mhm.
tell us your initial career experiences, like your first job, and how those hustling days led you to becoming a businessman?
So I'll call it, maybe fortunately or unfortunately, I have not really worked much other than Three Minds. 3MD has taken up a big chunk of my life. If I kind of go back, I've had one full-time job, which was at Deloitte Digital, in the year 2015, which was a direct college placement.
Acha,
So I did not really have to, search for jobs or apply. I just, sat for the interview and it just clicked,
got it.
which was in fact a job in UI design. So it's just a funny story where I joined Symbiosis for fashion design. I shifted to fashion communication. I did most of my work in graphics, and my first job was in UI design. So four
Okay,
different streams within design, and I worked there for a year or so.
acha,
And I've always been into freelancing. I've always loved taking up a lot of projects. So I used to freelance with Subway for a pretty long time in Pune, like Subway Pune specifically. I did a lot of designing stuff for them. I had a couple of amazing internships. So my first internship was at Ogilvy, one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, I can say,
correct, correct.
where it was just a 2-month internship, but those 2 months were probably some of the best experiences I've had. So we've always seen brands like Vodafone, Cadbury, Seat around us. So we've all interacted with some of the campaigns of all of
Mhm.
these brands. But suddenly, as a college student in the third year, being plucked from there and being put in the actual space where all of these designs come to life was a thrilling experience. And in fact, that's where I also cracked the packaging for Cadbury Bonville, which was a pretty amazing feat at that point of time for myself. And my second internship was at DY Works, which was my graduation project, which is uh, typically a branding and packaging design consultancy at that point of time. And I think those 4 months were, in fact, some of the best months for me to be groomed as a designer, because that was, I would say, my first proper professional stint where I was involved a lot more in projects, where I was involved in processes, I was involved in decision making to a certain degree as well. And that's another place where I learned so much over there, and a great experience. And that gave me the confidence to start picking up freelance projects after that. So I've been picking up work, freelance work for a lot of startups, individuals since I was in my last year of college. And that is exactly how I got the first message from Mr. Sanjay, who is my investor come founding member of the company as well, which was our first connection, because I worked with him as a freelancer for about a year or so while I was, still working at Deloitte. So on the sides, I used to do this, and that's where 3MD was originally born.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. My next question is actually that itself, that who was, where did this idea of your business come up from? And who you have two other partners, right? That is why the name Three Minds Digital, that makes sense, right?
That's a story. That's a story in itself
Okay,
as well. So I can just say that 3MD happening was destiny, maybe, because things cannot get more random than how we started. So I was never that active on LinkedIn. Off late I am, of course,
yeah,
something I need to as a professional in the digital space.
correct,
But
correct.
in my college, I was not that active on LinkedIn. So one fine day, I got a message from a gentleman, based out of the UK,
Okay,
Sanjay, and he was looking for someone to work with him on a project in the UK. And I reverted to him, within a few hours or probably the next day that, hey Sanjay, here's my number and you can speak with me, etc. And I forgot about it.
okay,
And it was about 10, 15 days after that, I was vacationing with my friends in Manali, Dharamshala, which is when I got a call from a UK number. I still remember the exact moment when it's etched in my mind. The moment I got that call, and I remember still showing it to my friend, "Dekh, mujhe UK se call aa raha hai." And I picked up the phone, and it was Sanjay. We ended up chatting for a good 30 to 40 minutes. Now, the reason I say random, because I never knew Sanjay. He just approached me on LinkedIn while going through a lot of other profiles. He had shortlisted at least about 10 people to call and have quick conversations with. If I would not have answered, which was a very good chance, right? And this is pre-Geo days when network was
Okay.
not that great, like internet
Yeah.
was not available everywhere. If my phone would have been unavailable, if I was not able to answer, he would have just moved on to the next person,
Got
and
it.
the entire destiny would have been different.
Correct.
So it is, what you call as a butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
Where there's a butterfly flapping its wings on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. How it can impact you over here, you never
Correct.
know.
Correct.
So if I would not have answered the call, we would not have been talking right now, is how I kind of put it. So we had a wonderful conversation, and I really don't know. I still asked Sanjay, "Yeah, what did you see in me that you decided to move forward with me?" And he did not recall anyone else after talking to me.
Okay.
I did tell him that I'm still traveling for the next 10 days, so I'll not be able to pick up your project for the next 10 days, maybe after I'm back, etc. But maybe it's just the vibe that matched. And he decided to wait for me. And once I was back to Bombay, he got on a call with me. We started working, we started talking. We worked on few projects of his for about a year. And one fine day when he was in Bombay, he invited me over to meet him. This was again in the year 2016. The start of 2016, where we met for the first time. Until then, we were just working virtually, and we had a wonderful conversation around my future plans. He asked me a lot about what I wanted in life, what I was thinking, and that's where the actual seed was born. Where he just said that, "Harnish, see, I really like you as a person. I really like your work. I have always tried to look for a individual who understands business and design both, because his main problem of working with so many people that he did was he was not able to find someone who understands design, but at the same time business, or vice versa. So that's what he liked in me, and he said, "Okay, I really feel we can bridge this gap together as a team, and why don't we start something on our own?" So that was and this kind of happened just as a part of our ongoing conversation. At that time, I did not think much about it. I just said, "Yeah, Sanjay, and I'm more than happy to give it a thought, etc." And when I went back home, I spoke to my family, my parents. I think my dad was pretty much okay. Yeah, I mean, why not? Like, what do you have to lose,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
It was literally my first job. Then I was still, young, 22, 23. I knew if I leave this job, I start up something. If I fail, I'll probably just find something else.
Correct.
So, I did not have anything to lose. And of course, mothers being mothers, like, "Arey, kaun, mere bete ko
Correct. Correct.
fusla raha
Correct.
hai," and
Correct.
stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this all happened, and I just decided to take the punt. I was like, hell yeah, let's go forward with it.
Correct. Correct.
So this is how both of us, connected. Now we knew that we needed a few other folks as well to work on some of the other nuances of the business. So Sanjay, in fact, got in touch with the two other partners at that point of time as well. Again, very random, on Quora and on LinkedIn. But I was the only one whom he had worked with, or whom he knew personally. So he booked a meeting room for the three of us, and just asked the three of us to meet. And he joined from London over a video call.
Okay.
And we did not know each other. We had met for the first time. We did not even know the names of each other, quite literally. And the three of us met. We got talking. Sanjay joined from there, and Sanjay just said, "यार बात करो, देखो क्या click होता है." So this is how our first meeting happened. And after that, Sanjay spoke to each one of us individually and just asked कि क्या करना है. I was like, "यार करते हैं. What do you have to lose?" Again, what do you have to lose was the primary motto when
Correct.
I
Correct.
started. And that's how Three Minds was born. Like you correctly said, because we were three partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for whatever XYZ reasons, the other two partners had to drop off
Oh, okay.
midway through the journey. So
Okay.
right now I'm the only one out of out of the three of us, and
Okay.
Sanjay of course is
Yeah, yeah.
still the. So we just discussed when we reminiscence our previous conversation. I just feel maybe it was just meant for the two of us to do it because that's how the original thought
Correct, correct.
started.
Yeah,
So we kind of, even when we started, we call it kind of the arranged marriage in the startup sphere because we literally were arranged to meet by Sanjay, and it just
correct.
clicked and we started a company. So more or less, I started a company with two strangers, and the same goes for them as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And yeah, I kind when I look back at it, I think it was a good decision.
Okay, so now let's get into a bit of the technical business aspect, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
So, I hope the business is doing well. I mean, you're working as hard as possible. so,
I hope.
you would say the business is profiting, right? And it is profitable. Is that what I'm?
Yeah,
Yeah.
since day one.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Of course, it's a service-based business, so it
Um,
will be more profitable, I guess. But what is the next milestone in your business journey? कि नहीं ये तो करना है करके, something like that.
I think there are obviously a lot of milestones that we have. We have a revenue target for ourselves for the next 5 years. We have a growth target for ourselves for the next 5 years. Um, in terms of work, we've stuck to what we've been good at since day one. So we've not put our hands into things that we are not confident about. And I feel that has been one reason for our success because you try to you fail when you try to do things that you're not good at or you try to do everything. So the 4 to 5 things that we started off with 7 years back, we have stuck to that. We've not really tried to diversify too much, and that stays. I do not plan to diversify into so many different things. Of course, a lot of the new things that we are doing are offshoots of things that we are already doing. So nothing new over there. So our plan is to just really take hold of our services, and I would have probably said maybe 3 4 years back or 2 years back, I want to work with some of India's biggest brands. I mean, right now as we speak, we are working with some of India's biggest brands. So that's no longer an aspiration for sure. But yes, I think the target for the next year or this year now, 2024, for my team would be to work on some cracking, consumer facing campaigns, right? So we've done a lot of work in the B2B space, where a lot of where there are very few agencies who understand B2B. But the idea this year is to keep focusing on B2B, yet crack some cracking campaigns for B2C audience as well.
Okay, okay. So for the audience and my curiosity as well, this is being honest. How much
Mhm.
do you actually make from your businesses on a monthly basis?
I think those are numbers as a service business. I would not want to, talk about on a public platform, right? So apologies, for that. But yeah, we do make 7 figures,
Oh, okay.
in dollars, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
And
Nice.
it's been a pretty interesting journey, right? Like I said, we've been profitable since day one.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, there have been ups and downs. COVID was obviously one of the blips that we saw temporarily, right? But the year after COVID, we saw almost about 150% growth in
Correct,
terms of
correct.
the revenue. So yeah, like in the service business, ups and downs are unfortunately, like but I think that's the case in every business, right? And
Yeah.
especially in the service side because our PNL is really dependent on the inflow and outflow. We get certain money and we invest it back into the company.
Correct, correct, correct. But was COVID actually a gap year for like digital like designing, business for you as well? Because many companies wanted to go online or digital, in
Mhm.
that COVID period. So I thought that they would want designers to make their websites look better or much more like so. Was that actually a gap year for you as well?
I would say yes and no. for maybe about three to, because if I look back at it, 3 months everyone was confused. Almost 3 महीने तो किसी को पता ही नहीं था क्या करना है, because it was a shock for
Correct,
most
correct.
businesses, right? It just took 3 months or a quarter for companies to even understand their next steps, right? For example, some things just picked up, like edtech, for
Mm-hmm.
example, right? Saw a big boom, because that was a big gap that
Correct.
had to be fulfilled. Unfortunately, it's just fallen as quickly in the last year or so, the
Mm-hmm.
edtech bubble. But at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
time, that was a need. So digital companies definitely, we did a lot of work, and in fact, like I said, we grew
Mm-hmm.
during COVID. We are fortunate to be in the digital space, but
Yeah.
I think it's more about the 3 to 4 months where companies suddenly took back budgets. A lot of clients suddenly took back their mandates that we had already won. A lot of retainers uh, wanted to take a step back as well. So those 3 to 4 months were of course difficult, but fortunately because we were in the creative and digital space, not a lot of difference after that. I think then we were able to really pull up our socks and start focusing on getting new projects, and we in fact succeeded in doing that. I think the most difficult thing for me personally was working from home, because as a person I physical interaction is really important, even for client meetings or team interaction. So working from home for those 1.5 to 2 years was a difficult time period rather. And that's why in fact, I can also say we were probably one of the first agencies to really start our own operations back from office. And this
Okay.
was right during a third wave where I just took a call that I'm done. Even if I'm the
Mm-hmm.
only one coming to office and working, I'm getting my own office space and starting operations.
Correct,
So
correct.
that just worked well, because we got a good price, and I mean, the fourth wave never came,
Mm-hmm.
fortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think COVID was, I should not say that, but we did see good growth during COVID period. We did not have a single layoff. When companies were getting rid of employees left, right, and center, we in fact grew during that time. We in fact hired more people during that time, and I just
Okay.
sometimes feel that okay, that's at least giving something back to the society, where we were
Mm-hmm.
also able to absorb a lot of people who had been laid off by their companies.
Nice, nice, nice. So, as you said that you've worked with big companies, so I have some names here. So, Geo, Tata, Ray-Ban,
Hmm.
MI, Asus. You've worked with all of these companies, right?
Hmm.
So, of course, they are big brands. So, what is that one quality or something that you learned by working with these, big industries or big companies, and that you didn't know before working with them? Is there something like that which you learned?
Oh yes. Before we worked with them, I was under the impression that to get a foot into the door with these big brands, you need connections. You need to know people within these organizations. And that was something that I lived with for a couple of years. And I'm not a good networker, if I'm being honest. I remember I've gone to one networking event a few years back and I was sweating, my because I can't, it doesn't come naturally to me, and which is something a little difficult to believe as a founder, right? And
Correct, correct.
where you are expected to be a good networker. Of course I've grown, I think now I can just talk to anyone. But this is obviously a few years back. But
Okay.
what I realized is that if you're doing good work, if you are genuinely, you have a great intent of working with these brands, you always have a door open. So most of these brands that you see, they are actually the brands who approach us to work for them rather than the other way around.
Okay.
So one myth that broke for me was that you don't really need to know people, because I know a lot of people in our industry. They are always cribbing that we are not able to work with these big brands because we don't know people in these organizations. But we've cracked all of these brands like Asus, Belfoil, CNBC, Xiaomi, Geo, Raymond, Bajaj, Times Group, without knowing anyone internally, when we cracked them. And I think the only thing that mattered was merit, right? And they saw merit in working with us. We invested a lot of time and energy to make pitches. I think some of them where pitches were expected, some of them where they were unexpected, where we just went out of our way to make a pitch, for a bigger brand because we genuinely wanted to work with them. And that led to a lot of great closures. So this was indeed one amazing learning.
Great, great. So, entrepreneurship means I mean, India, there is a lot of growth in entrepreneurship. Like Shark Tank came up and everything happened. So now there's
Mhm.
a huge boom in that area as well. But there are a lot of challenges that, come with entrepreneurship. So can you share some of the biggest difficulties you faced, during your entrepreneurship years, or when you were really, in life and in business, both ways. So can you share that?
Wow, in life, that's a pretty
Yeah.
big question. But if I talk about the entrepreneurship as a journey, I think one common thing I mean I meet a lot of entrepreneurs over the course of my journey at 3MD, and in the last 7 years I've met hundreds of them. One common thing that we all entrepreneurs together discuss as a common problem for everyone is team management. I can also go as far as saying that client management is way easier than team management.
Okay.
If today I have to close 5 clients, I have to close 5 enterprises, I'll be able to do it much easier than hiring 5 team members who are gonna be rock stars.
Okay.
So because and managing a team itself is comes with a lot of nuances, because I know so many people, so many great executioners, so many great designers, so many great developers who have failed when it came to being good managers. They were not able to manage or handle their team because there's a lot at stake, right? You have to manage the expectations of your team, of your overall business, of your boss, of the clients. So
Correct. Correct.
it's of course difficult. So I think one biggest learning for me as an entrepreneur was how to manage a team and keeping everyone happy. But I think that's also never going to happen, right? Anything that you do, there's always going to be some people who are not going to be happy with the decision that you take, but you
Correct.
need to
Correct.
do the right thing at the end
Yeah.
of the day. So I think that was one very, very, very big learning. And another learning was also, not to keep all your eggs in the same basket, which is what COVID taught us.
Hmm.
Because there was a time, I just did a LinkedIn post about it a month back as well, where our 60% revenue was coming from one single client.
Oh,
You
okay.
can imagine 60%. So our
Yeah.
60% of the team was aligned on one project, and we were happy. It was going on for about a year. We were, really happy. The project was going well, very profitable. And then COVID happened, and that client decided to drop the project, right? And that was, you know, kick that we got. Because you can imagine just one day, 60% of your revenue has gone in a
Correct.
snap.
Correct.
60% of your team has nothing to work on.
Hmm.
So that was something that after that, consciously I've managed to, never put our dependency so much on one client or one project where our future is in that person's or that company's hands. So we have diversified. That's why if you see our portfolio, you will not find just one domain that we've worked at. Now, of course, we are good in certain domains where we have some kick-ass case studies. But I won't say that okay, we have only done work or we specialize in the real estate space or we've only done work in the media space, right? Just doesn't work because I think one thing that COVID taught me was not put all my eggs in the same basket, which I did, and which I learned the hard way. And we also came out of it because this entire 60% team, we did not fire any of them. We, did a town hall. We told them, about it. We told them that we need everyone's support. We will get through this, and we did. We did manage to recover that lost revenue within this 3 months. That we had, and maybe from say 7 to 8 clients rather than one client. But that was a great learning.
So would you say that this was the lowest point for 3MD in the 7 years till now?
The day I got the news of this client dropping off, yes, I think I can't think of any other lower point because that was a shock, that was a surprise, that was unexpected, and even to the extent that the laptops of these team members were procured by the company.
Oh, okay.
So it was not only about the revenue, but also like, okay, अभी हमको fire नहीं करना है इनको, या retain करना है सबको, but laptops कहाँ से लाए? Where do we figure out the systems from? So it was literally as I mean, it seems like a small problem, but you can
Yeah.
imagine, and these are all MacBooks, right?
Oh, okay.
So uh, that was a pretty bad time, but I think I just consider myself lucky to have a wonderful core team who understood, who really came together during this time, who worked day in and day out, and we were able to get out of this phase.
Great. So,
And of course, we've had, two co-founder exits. So you can also
yeah,
imagine,
yeah.
that would come with its own set of challenges for me
Correct.
personally, because there are some things that only a founder can do. There are a lot of things that you can delegate, but
Correct.
some
Correct.
things that only I can do. So before the second co-founder exited, I had not raised a single invoice. I had not raised, figured out how to even add client payments into the system, because I was not my lookout, and I've never been a finance person. I've never been a number driven person, and I still am not, right. If you ask me to design a logo within one hour, 2 hours, I'll be able to do it. If you ask me to do number crunching, I'll probably do it because it comes with my job, but probably I'll do it with a straight face. So that was again, a challenging time when I had to myself learn a lot of new things that I was not involved in. But when I look back at it, I think it just worked out.
Just a quick follow up. So, how much did you score in maths if you were bad with finances?
I was just average. I mean, I was amazing. I was great in history and geography. I loved those subjects. I
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
scored a 80 plus over there. Maths was maybe like a 60-ish, 60, 70
Oh,
tops.
okay, okay.
Maths and physics.
I can understand. So there are a lot of challenges as we spoke about, but kudos to you that you overcame all of those challenges. But with these professional challenges, I'm sure there must have been some personal setbacks. Something to personal life where there was like a work life balance. That people talk of a lot. So now that two of your founders have gone away, and all of their work has also come up to you in some way. So what
Mhm.
would you say, that has it impacted a lot of your personal life, or are you still trying to manage it, or you have managed it?
So I've always been a workaholic
Okay.
since the very beginning, since college days, right? If you would probably find a lot of my friends partying on a Friday night, I would be sitting and completing assignment, or I would be sitting and just drawing or sketching something. So I've always loved working. Um, of course, as an entrepreneur, you never have a day off, right? You
Correct.
are working Monday to Sunday, you're working 24/7, your mind is racing 24/7. And that did affect me from a health perspective as well as, mentally, especially the 2 years sitting at home, of COVID, because you're not really, and I've always been a physical interaction person, so I always love talking to clients. I love meeting new people. So that was a bit of a phase. But I think um, one thing that happened that changed a lot of my perspective was a surgery that I had about 9 to 10 months back, uh, on my leg, which was something I had to go through. And after 6 years of running 3MD, this was probably the first proper break I took. So I love traveling. So I mean, I have a pact of visiting a new country every year.
Oh,
So I keep
nice.
traveling every year, of course, with my laptop, along with me, and carrying work along. I can never go out of it completely. But this break that I had after the surgery, when I was hospitalized, was the first real break I took in a long time, and that actually got me thinking. It was, I kind of look at Harnish as before the surgery and after the surgery, because after that, when I was forced to take a break, when I was forced to not open my laptop, not check my phone for a week's time, I just felt a sense of relief, a sense of satisfaction, or maybe a sense of realization. And the realization was that, okay, even after slogging for 6 years, if I'm not able to even just take one day off, right? I mean, तो क्या किया है?
Correct,
I mean,
correct.
that was a realization,
Hmm.
and that was a turning point for me. And after that, I started reading. I have never been a reader. I have never enjoyed reading books, but since my surgery, I would have at least read about 30 to 40 books in the last 7 months, 8 months. I love reading it. At a given point of time, I'm reading at least 3 to 4 books, depending on my mood.
Hmm.
So that was a change that I made in my lifestyle. I started waking up early because as founders or entrepreneurs, you never have time for your. I
Correct,
mean, forget about for your team, but for yourself.
correct.
So I started waking up at 5:30
Oh,
a.m. And I give that credit to Mr. Robin Sharma, whose book The
yeah,
5
yeah.
a.m. Club got this change. If there's any one takeaway from this session today, I think reading that book would be my suggestion because it's a beautiful book. It was not that difficult for me because I've always been a morning person. I have never been a night owl, but waking up at 5:30 every day just in a snap added 2 more hours in a day for me. So when I was always waking up at say 8 a.m. or a 7:30 a.m. or a 9 a.m., waking up at 5:30, having that me time, having
Hmm.
that time at peace, having that time in silence, having that time to meditate. I've never been a person who meditated as well. Having that time to meditate, to some self-reflection, to
Hmm.
prepare myself for the day, to start working out, right? I think those health conscious changes that happened definitely have made a much bigger positive impact for me in the last 7 to 8 months, and I see the tangible benefits of doing this, and also because I wake up early, I also am able to sleep early. So before, when I used to sleep at say 1 o'clock, one
Correct,
thirty,
correct,
we
correct,
just binging on some nice Netflix series. I
correct.
started
Yeah.
sleeping at 11:30, tops because I have to wake up early. So I think these conscious health choices just happened after my surgery, and I hopefully intend to keep them. Maybe if I had a chance, I would have started doing it long time ago. But yeah, better late than never.
Correct, correct. So, Robin Sharma, I've just read one book of his which I really liked, and that was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I don't know if you've read it or not,
Mhm.
but that was a pretty awesome book according to me. But as I'm still a bit young, so for me, it seems like that's like a retirement thing, because even in the book, they were talking about he was doing a corporate thing for almost a like 30 years or so. He was doing the corporate thing, and then he said, let's do retirement and all. So would you say that this comes with age as well? This age a factor here? Yeah, after I've achieved a certain degree of success, then I can maybe do what I want, like get up early or do some meditation or things like that. So if you were like in your past, entrepreneurship years when you were
Mhm.
slogging, if this accident, I'm sorry to say, but if this would have happened a bit earlier, would you still have done the
Mhm.
same things that you did right now?
Probably yes. Because there's never a right time for these things, right? I mean, there's no rule book or there's no fact that, okay, if you're 19 or you're 20 or 21, you
Correct,
should not wake up at 5 a.m.,
correct,
right?
correct.
That's always a good habit. So if you're 21, you should not plan your week, or, you are expected to work for 18 hours a day, right? There's again no right or wrong over there. I think it's just, subjectivity. But yes, a lot of these things just come from maturity, as you grow older. So if I look back at it, I'm not sure if I would have done this when I was young. But yes, as you grow older, your energy depletes, and that's it's how human beings work. And the energy that you have when you are a 20-year-old and the energy that you have when you are a 40-year-old is poles apart. So what I would always suggest, or what I really believe in, is that the 20s, early 20s, or late 20s are the time when you're going to be having the most energy,
Correct, correct.
to do these things. So if you are slacking at that age, then when you're in your 30s or 40s, just God save you. So, working for 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 15 hours a day to make your dream a reality, I don't find anything wrong in doing that when you're young. But yes, I think if you keep doing that, age definitely catches up to you. So you need to know when you want to pivot, unless you're Elon Musk. I mean, he is not a human. Like I just read his I just read his biography, which is one of the best books I've read. And the way he manages, I mean, in his 50s, the energy he has, the kind of passion he has, it's something else. Again, I'm not gonna go into the controversies of his statements and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah.
just as an
Get
entrepreneur,
it.
just as an
Yes.
entrepreneur,
Correct,
some of
correct.
his traits, there are some traits are toxic, right? Like
Yeah.
he doesn't sleep. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
sleep. He sleeps for 2 hours, 3 hours a day. He binges on Coke, Diet Coke, right? It's not that different, but yes,
Yeah, yeah.
which are not good, habits. So the sooner I realized it, the better for me or for
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah. So, as you were saying that you read 30 or 40 books, so just to get this out, would is there like a favorite book, like something that a must read for everyone, whoever's watching, no matter what field, no matter whatever, just this has to be read, like something like that once in your life.
I think as a designer, the biography of Steve Jobs, amazing book. Walter Isaacson, who is the writer, he's written some great biographies, and he's the same one who wrote the biography of Elon Musk as well. So these two are amazing books. The 5 a.m. Club,
Yeah.
definitely. If you intend to start waking up early or you want to push to start waking up early, that's an amazing book as well. Atomic Habits, another
Yeah, yeah.
amazing book if you are even planning to make small
Changes.
changes,
Correct, correct.
introduce small habits into your lifestyle. That's a great book. But at the end of the day, what I've realized is most people read these books, but they have energy for the 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, and they're not able to be consistent
Correct.
with it. So I do read a lot of mix of self-help books as well as novels. And when I read 3 to 4 books in the evenings, I just prefer reading a novel when I'm drained. When I just want to quickly read something, which is a thriller, right? And in the mornings when I have peace, when I am calmer, I just read a interesting self-help book. So
Okay.
I think some of these books are great, but actually reading few books but implementing the ideas of these books is way more important than just reading 30 to 40 books.
Correct, correct.
Because in all these books that I read, I always make it a point to make notes. So I have a small book of myself where I make a note of all the great pointers that I want to implement for my own self over there. I review it every week. So all these books, out of these 30, 40 books, I would have at least made notes, or about 15 books. And I keep reviewing these notes every week or every
Okay.
2 weeks at the max, so that I keep continuing what I intended to get into this journey with. In
Correct.
fact, there's one more book called How I Failed at Almost Everything and Still Succeeded, or something like that, which is
Okay.
another, great book, as well, which was one of the first books which I started reading after my surgery, in fact.
Acha. Okay. No, I haven't heard about it, but sure, I'll check it out now that you've said it.
Uh,
So, let's talk a bit about your future now. So, we have talked about your past, present things have been done. Now, let's look ahead. So, what do you think about AI in general regarding the designing industry?
AI is something that we cannot escape. It is a part of our life, and it is slowly encroaching into our life in ways that we've not even thought of. Now, we can be pessimists and we can keep talking about the negative impacts of AI, but it's here to stay. I think the revolution that ChatGPT has created, right? It's only the way up from there. So, I'm not one of those who, from a design sphere, is of the opinion that, okay, it's killing creativity, right? I would rather say it's killing bad creativity, because it's, see, AI might not be, at least for the next couple of years, again, with the way AI is growing, you never know what's going to happen after three,
Correct.
4, 5, 10 years.
Correct.
But at least in the next couple of years, I don't see AI taking up creative jobs. And when I say creative jobs, I mean design things, or replace creators who are doing something unique, who are doing something different. But yes, it's gonna easily take away the jobs of mundane tasks. Like, for example, till a year back, resizing 1,000 photos
Hmm.
for e-commerce, right? It took maybe a day or for person or 2 days, 5 days of a person to sit and resize 1,000 pictures.
Correct.
Now you can just do it on a snap. You
Correct.
upload the pictures, right, and the AI is gonna do that resizing for you. So these kind of jobs, which are routine tasks, which are repetitive tasks, is something which is going to be taken over by AI for sure, and I don't see any harm over there. And second thing, I also see AI assisting a lot of designers because originally, for example, when it took us say 5 hours to create a mood board
Hmm.
by finding things from 10 different websites, doing a lot of research,
Hmm.
I can create that mood board within 15 minutes with the right prompts.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's just gonna assist me in saving a lot of my time.
Hmm.
So AI is definitely gonna help save time. But yes, it can also design logos, for example, right? There are logo generators where you put in some prompts, it will create a nice logo for you.
Correct.
But does it actually create a logo that a real human can design, or a human can design with some logic, with some concept, with some thought process? No,
Hmm.
I would say not yet, not yet.
Yes. Yes. Definitely not.
Um, so it's not gonna take the jobs of amazing designers.
Correct. Correct.
But it will take the job of a lot of designers on the lower end, who are just doing repetitive tasks and not doing actual creativity.
Correct, correct. So, looking at these AI tools like Mid Journey and DALI, so
Mhm.
like their potential in the future, do you think that they can be a threat to the company in any way?
See, like I said, with the way AI is growing, no one knows what's going to happen in 3 years.
Correct.
Because before ChatGPT launched, we never thought something like this could be done so quickly.
Hmm.
So it would be too early to comment on that in the next 3 years. As of today, no, but it does help in assisting designers. Now, there is obviously another area which is a little controversial, where a lot of artists' work has been taken by these AI throttlers, which and it's replicating those works as well, which is again a fine line,
Hmm.
right? Which where there needs to be some rules and some regulations to keep this under check, right? So that there
Correct,
is no
correct.
plagiarism.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, today, if someone has written a content on ChatGPT, you know it, right? If
hmm.
someone sends me an email that is typed by ChatGPT, I'm gonna know it, that it's not written by a real human. If there's a blog that AI has written and you're putting it on a website, it's not gonna help your SEO grow. You need to write, real content from, a human mind.
Correct.
So there are obviously still a lot of limitations, but I just see it, growing and getting better, because I've used DALI myself. It's a wonderful tool, but I've majorly, I mean, if I be honest, I've used it to just play around. I've
Okay.
just put in my friends' images, my images, and try to get the picture of myself as an astronaut, or myself as a Pokemon, and just some things like these, right? Which has
Correct,
has
correct.
helped. Of course, a lot of in fact, I'll tell you where we are even using it. So we have a client in the interior design space,
Okay.
right? Or or where we have actually generated so much content over there, where originally it took say hours and hours to make a render for an
Hmm.
interior space. Now you can just put the right prompts. You can just keep bettering your prompts and get the right output.
Correct.
And we actually use it to create social media content, and it
Hmm.
has worked wonderfully for us.
Okay.
So it's all about how you make the right use of these tools. They are amazing tools. They are here to stay. They're not
Hmm.
going anywhere. And in fact, if you also see, prompt engineering has become a field in itself,
Yeah, yeah,
where
correct, correct.
the people who are going to be really needed in the coming years are prompt engineering guys who know what prompts to give to an AI to get the right output.
Correct, correct. So if let's say I was a person who was thinking of starting a business, or maybe starting just a freelance in the designing industry now, in this time and age, so would you say it is still valid? Like, would you say it is still valid? Can I still grow as much as I could, maybe let's say 10 years back, or let's say 5 years back?
I'm sure if this question was asked to someone 10 years back or
Hmm.
5 years back, it would have, I mean, the answer would have been the same.
Okay.
So, as long as you are creative, as long as you're lucky, I mean, there's a little bit of luck involved as well, right?
Correct.
And there's hard work, right? So, anything can scale up. Now, you tell me, there are new restaurants opening every single day,
Hmm.
right? If there is one restaurant that is successful, or if there are even 10 restaurants that are successful on a street, does it mean 11th can't succeed?
Got
Of
it.
course,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
can.
Correct,
So,
correct.
as long as you are doing the right thing, as long as you are actually creative, as long as you have something that sets you apart in the market, the field is always open, and I think it will always be. Maybe the kind of focus, the kind of the business insights might change, the business dynamics might change, but design is always gonna be there. It's here to stay. If you look at UI designs, the trends keep changing, right? If you look at iPhone, the initial iOS, 6, 7, 8, and if you see today's iOS, there's a drastic difference, and it's just getting better and better.
Correct.
And if you look at, even if I just speak about UI specifically over here, with the new age devices, for example, Vision Pro, which is launching pretty soon, the Apple Vision Pro, is completely a new device which requires new ways of interaction, new UI, thought processes, right?
Correct,
Which
correct.
is gonna just stay. So there's always, I mean, the way things are advancing, right? Design is something which kind of jets in each and every component of a brand's requirements. So definitely, but yes, there are other than this, there are 20,000 other pointers that are going to be responsible for you starting a successful business or not.
Correct, correct. So you recently posted on LinkedIn. Now I don't remember the exact date, but it was like you fired yourself. You know, basically you retired and you delegated your work. So
Mhm.
taking that post into consideration, what would you say are your next 10 years, or have you not imagined that yet? Like, how would you see yourself in the next 10 years? Where would you want to be if you fired yourself, as you have claimed?
Frankly, I don't think 10 years ahead.
Okay.
I am someone who plans, the next step, or maybe max a year, right? So today, someone asked me what's a 5-year plan. I don't have a 5-year plan today. Right?
Got it.
I know where I want to be, but there's an interesting story, right, where there was a traveler on a horse walking through the forest, and the traveler was scared because it was pitch dark, and he did not know what to do. He was panicking. So the horse just told him that, "Can you just see the next step forward?" He said, "Yes, I can see the next step I need to take forward. So let's just take that."
Okay.
So I think that's something which I, really, believe in. Of course, for my own company, right, the business goal that we have is a revenue goal, right? So we plan for it and we work backwards from there.
Correct.
And when it comes to delegating, things, I think that's something which I've learned the hard way again, where in the first 3, 4 years of a business, I used to do everything because as a entrepreneur, you need to be maybe you are good at one or two things, but you need to know everything,
Correct.
right? So I used to do a lot of things myself. I mean, I had a habit. I come from a design background, so I always had a habit that if someone has worked on something, I had a tendency to say, "Yeah, just send me the open file," and I used to make tweaks to it. I used to make changes to it. So one thing that I let go was my OCD, right? When it comes to design,
Correct.
so that was something that took a long time to get out of, and that itself removed a lot of time. That investment I used to get into. Other than that, of course, delegation is really important in a business because you can't be doing everything. It's important to hire people better than you. And I think that is one area where a lot of founders flounder because they are scared about hiring people who know better than them because there's an expectation that yaar aapko sab pata hona chahiye, right? You are the founder, there can be no one better than you. But I try to rather look for people who are better than me
Okay.
because they are the ones who are going to teach me new things. They are going to be they're going to be the one who have done it. Now, again, fortunately or unfortunately, I've not worked in the industry. I've just worked at Deloitte for a year or so, which was an enterprise. So I don't know a lot of things how the industry works. So the best learnings I've gotten is from so many people that with respect to their own experiences. So
Correct.
even when it comes to hiring people and delegating your job and your tasks, it's really important. Now I'll give a simple example of finances. Like I mean, there was a time for almost about after the second founder left, where I was doing the finances, which I spoke about a few minutes back, and I did not delegate hiring a finance person or a finance executive, and I finally, when I took the decision to delegate finances, delegate raising invoices, delegate follow up with clients, etc. It was probably one of my best decisions because I just suddenly realized how much time I was investing in tasks that were just repetitive or that was not needed.
Correct.
This is obviously things that you can just directly delegate on your own. And the second kind of tasks are, of course, where you need to get the person you're delegating the task to in confidence. You need to handhold him or her. Because a lot of times what entrepreneurs or founders do is एक task आया उनको, they'll just send it to someone and say, "क्या कर दो," right? Which is in my opinion a really wrong thing to do,
Correct.
because whoever you're delegating it to, it's your responsibility to um, talk to them about the importance of that task, talk to them about how to get it done, and also keep a check on if it's getting done or not with by supporting them. And then over a period of time, like letting it go. Because if you do it once, you do it twice, a third time they'll just be doing it on their own. But investing that time in the initial one or two tries is really important, where a lot of people don't invest that time. So that is something which I have gradually been doing, and it just adds a lot more trust onto the person as well.
Got it. Got it. Have you got any clients from LinkedIn or LinkedIn as like have you got clients from your social media profiles?
Oh, so many, so many, so many. LinkedIn. I mean, for
Uh-huh.
us, LinkedIn is the tool that works best. So, sorry, the social media that works best.
Correct.
I, in fact, owe my existence of 3MD to social media because that's where
Yeah.
Sanjay messaged me
Correct. Correct.
first. Right? So we do a lot of outreach campaigns, but I also see that a lot of people do it wrong. I'm sure we all have faced a situation where someone has sent you a request, a follow request on LinkedIn, and you accept it, and the first message that they send is one long story, or यार ले लो हमारा service ले लो, right? They're
Correct.
not interested in creating a connection. They're not interested in respecting the other person's time, which is where a lot of deals don't get done because most people just want to close deals. But I really think that you need to build relations first, and that's worked well for our LinkedIn strategy. So I mean, LinkedIn is a great outbound channel that has worked for me personally for 3MD, and we keep getting a lot of inquiries on LinkedIn.
Okay. I mean, we also first connected on LinkedIn itself, so I hope I created a good first impression, and and I guess that is why you are talking to me right now. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, what according to you can be the next big thing in your industry? Looking at AI or social media, whatever, whatever. But the next big thing, according to you, what would be in your industry?
I don't know. I mean, the number of things that we do, right from digital marketing to design to social media to UI UX, there is something happening everywhere. But one thing that has excited me the most is generative AI.
Correct.
If you have ever used the Photoshop generative features, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I would say maybe creepy to a certain extent.
True,
You
true.
can create images that don't exist. You can edit images with a prompt, right? Like when maybe just 6 months back or a year back, it would have taken me or a designer, say, 20 minutes to edit a picture. It can be done within 10 seconds today. And
Correct.
the results are stunning. You won't be able to distinguish between a AI edited image and you know, a real image.
Correct, correct,
So
correct.
these mainstream tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, the tools that we've all been using for years, integrating AI into their functionality is something which I am genuinely looking forward to because it's already great. I just can't wait to see how better it can get in the coming few years.
Correct, correct. So I think we're coming to a end to this podcast because I know I didn't prepare enough. I promised 2 hours, I know, but I'm falling short of that time.
That's too long. That's too
Yeah, yeah.
long. I think it's always good to respect everyone's time, and people don't
Yes,
have
yes.
time today, right? Like,
Correct,
why do
correct.
you think, reels work? Because it's 10 seconds, 15
Yeah,
seconds,
yeah,
20
true, true.
seconds
Now it's all the attention
content.
game, right? Now it's like attention
Yeah.
grabbing thing. Yeah, yeah, true, true. So
In
I think
fact,
this.
even this one, if you kind of edit it into a 35 minute conversation, would work much better than a 1 minute and a half hour conversation.
Correct, correct, correct. I try my best, but there is a lot of information, that I hope everyone knows and everyone grows with us as well. So I think this will be my last question for you. Just one advice that you would, like to give to your younger self. I mean, I know you've always been a workaholic and you've never,
Mhm.
thought about it as much. But just one advice that you would give to, let's say, an 18-year-old self of yourself. So what would that be?
I think it would just be to be fearless, to not think too much before taking decisions. Some of the boldest decisions that I've taken at 3MD, maybe a little late, right? If I would have taken those earlier, I think it would have been better. But you learn each day, and maybe just start meditating and taking care of my health a little before. But I started a little late for sure. But if I was given a chance to go back, to being 18, some of these smaller things that I would do, but not much. Like, I would not really like to change much because we all, mature, right? And it's a transition. And that's how our human psychology is working, right? That's how we've evolved as humans. So, frankly, there's not much I would like to change, if I got a chance to go back. I mean, just some of these small things that I've learned over the course of my journey. But other than that, yeah, pretty much a good run, but a lot more to do. I'm not really happy with where we are. I don't think I'll ever be. Even if tomorrow we have 1,000 employees, you'll say the same thing. Hear the same thing from me that I think we can do better. So still a long way to go, and yeah, pretty excited how 2024 shapes up.
So that's all, I guess, Mr. Anish. It was a pleasure talking to you and having you as my first podcast guest. I mean, the information has just been absolutely valuable. I hope I can grow and my audience will too. So thank you for that.
I know, appreciate it, Arnav. I wish you all the very best. It's a great initiative you've taken, and I look forward to seeing great content coming out.
Thank you. Thank you.